I am making an Endymion deck profile mainly because I finally managed to get everything after the most recent ban list, at least for this video, where Servant of Endymion was put to 3, and I really love this deck, which I played this deck in 2 tournaments. The first tournament it got 2nd place, which partially was because I didn't really know what I was doing, and some of the control cards I was using were just that good, or how my board was. And the second tournament I got, I want to say 5th or 6th, but there was just a lot more people. And I've been testing this deck out against my brother and his branded deck, which used to be mine. But his branded deck, if I went first, some of the boards I put out, he couldn't do anything to. And it was kind of funny. So anyway, I'll go ahead and start with the monsters. Also, I apologize for the lighting. I kind of got excited about making this deck profile, and unfortunately, this is the best I have. So anyway, starting with the monsters, I play 3 copies of Servant of Endymion. Servant of Endymion's pendulum effect is that if a spell card is activated, at the resolution of its effect, it gets a spell counter. And by removing 3 spell counters from this card, it can then summon itself from the pendulum scale and a monster from your deck that can hold a that can hold a spell counter, and then you place a spell counter on both. And then when Servant of Endymion is destroyed in the monster zone, you can place it back in your spell and trap zone. But that part usually never happens. And then oh yeah, the other part of Servant's effect is that when it is destroyed in the monster zone, it's when you put in the pendulum zone, it gets 1 spell counter for each spell counter it had in the monster zone. Which the monster effect is the exact same on the 3 copies of Magister of Endymion. And then Magister of Endymion has the same pendulum effect, except this one summons from extra deck. So you're not usually using Magister's effect that often, but it's at least good to have. Also, it's a high skill. Then I play 3 copies of Endymion, the Magistus of Mastery. This one's only played because it's a level 4 water Endymion monster, so you can use it to make Toad. And it does have the effect where once per turn you can destroy a face-up spell. A face-up spell you control, destroy it, or you target it, destroy it, draw a card. So there's that, just in case you need to dig a bit more. And then I play 3 copies of Reflection of Endymion. Endymion has the same pendulum effect as Magister and Servant, except this one will summon from your hand. And then however, its monster effect has the effect of when it's special summoned, you can target cards your opponent controls or 1 card your opponent controls and 1 card you control that has a spell counter. Return both of them to the hand, and then you can place spell counters on other cards you control for each spell counter the card that you return to your hand had. So if you summon this, activate its effect, return your opponent's card and this card to your hand, you can then move 1 spell counter to 1 other card you have that can hold a spell counter. And then probably what I call this deck's boss monster, or at the very least is the deck's ace monster, so in an anime. 3 copies of Endymion, the Mighty Master of Magic. Endymion, this card is pretty much everything you need in this deck. As it is a high scale, its pendulum effect is you can remove 6 spell counters from your field to then summon this. And then for each face-up card in your field that can hold a spell counter, you destroy 1 card in your opponent's field. And then this card gets 1 spell counter for each card that was destroyed by its effect. Right? Yes. And then its monster effect is if your opponent activates a spell or trap card or effect, you can return one card in your field that has a spell counter to your hand, negate that effect, and then it gets a spell counter. And while Endymion has a spell counter, it cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. And if it is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, or I think it has to be sent to the graveyard. I'm gonna read it one more time. When this card's spell counter is destroyed by battle, add a normal spell from your deck to your hand. So technically this can search things like Monster Reborn, Harpy's Feather Duster, Raigeki, as long as it's a normal spell. Power has to be destroyed in battle. And then for the supporting engine, I play one copy of Mythical Beast Jackal. This card is never put in my Pendulum Scale. I've never had reason to do so. And its monster effect is you contribute it to then special summon a Mythical Beast from your deck. Let's see. Or you can remove 3 spell counters from your field, tribute it, and if you do special summon a Mythical Beast effect monster from your deck, other than another Jackal. And then I play one copy of Mythical Beast Garuda. Mythical Beast Garuda has the pendulum effect of you can target one other spell trap on the field and destroy both that card and this card. And has its monster effect is while it's in your hand, if your opponent normal or special summons a monster, you can reveal this card. Let's see, I believe there's spell counters involved in it somewhere. You can reveal it, remove 3 spell counters from the field, summon summon it, and if you do, return that opponent's monster back to the hand. So one thing I like to do with this is, in one of my games, my opponent summoned Borlode Savage Dragon, and they activate its effect to equip a link from the grave. They activate its effect on summon. I chain Garuda to then just return the board load back to the extra deck, and they pretty much had to give up there. But that was mainly because they had done things so that on their turn they could summon Savage Dragon while I had Summon Limit in play, which is on the side. And then next I play 3 copies of Mythical Beast Jackal King. Jackal King has the pendulum effect of if you have no cards in your other pendulum scale, you can destroy it to special summon a Mythical Beast from your extra deck. And you can only use that effect on Mythical Beast Jackal King once per turn. And then it has the monster effect of, I guess technically, all the Mythical Beasts have the effect of when a spell card's activated, you place 2. Or all the level 6 and higher Mythical Beasts have the effect of when a spell card's activated, you can place 2 spell counters on it. The other 2 that are lower levels, but all the ones that are level 4 or lower, have the effect they gain 1 spell counter. But Jackal King has the effect of once per turn, so not a hard once per turn, so if you have multiple Jackal Kings, you can use the effect multiple times. But you can when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can remove 2 spell counters, negate the effect, and if you do destroy it, it can still get spell counters whenever time a spell is resolved. You just can't negate with it. One of them hard, one of them soft ones per turn. Anyway, then you play I play 3 copies of Mythical Beast Master Cerberus. Master Cerberus has the pendulum effect of while there are no other cards in your other pendulum zone, you can destroy this card, and then add a Mythical Beast from your deck to your hand, other than Master Cerberus. And then Master Cerberus's other effect is each time a spell is activated, when it resolves, this card gets 2 spell counters. While it has a spell counter, it cannot be destroyed by card effects. And then once per turn, it can remove 4 spell counters from your field. Which that's the other thing I'm about to mention, is that the Mythical Beasts can just remove spell counters from the field, so it doesn't have to be themselves. But Master Cerberus can remove 4 spell counters, target 1 monster your opponent controls, banish it, and if you do, this card gains that attack equal to that monster's original attack until the end of the turn. Which I believe it targets. Yes. So it moves 4 and targets for cost. And then finish off the deck what monster I play in the main deck, since your normal summon usually does not matter, is I play 3 copies of Vanity's Fiend. Vanity's Fiend just says neither player can special summon, and that cannot be special summoned. This is just what I main for going first. Oh. What I'll probably end up doing is replacing the 3 Vanity's Fiends with Lava Golems, since I usually tend to lose the die roll, so I'm usually going second. But Vanity's Fiends is just something I like to put on the field after I made my board. Because usually at the end of my turn, I'll have a Beyond the Pendulum, and I haven't normal summoned yet, so I'll go, why not? Tribute Beyond the Pendulum. Here's my Vanity's Fiend. Good luck breaking my board. And then I win. Anyway, moving on to the spells, I play 1 copy of Mythical Institution, 1 copy of Called by the Grave, and 1 copy of Magical Citadel of Endymion. Mythical Institution has the effect that each time a Mythical Beast card you control is destroyed, it gets 2 spell counters. And then once per turn, you can remove spell counters from your field to then add a Mythical Beast that has the same level as the number of spell counters you removed. And if Mythical Institution would be destroyed by a card effect, then you can remove 1 spell counter from this card instead. You can only use that, or you can only use the search effect of Mythical Institution once per turn. And Call by the Grave just deal with cards like Ash, Droll, and Lockbird, which ironically hurts this deck, and the irony is the fact that this deck's structure deck is what reprinted Droll and Lockbird as a common, which I find hilarious. But it's just to deal with hand traps or an opponent's grave effect that you don't want to go through. I would love it if Called by got put to 3. If Called by got put to 3, then I would be very much happy. And then Magical Citadel of Endymion has the effect that each time a spell card resolves, it gets a spell counter. And you can remove spell counters from this card to activate the effects of other cards, such as Servant, for example. If you scale Servant, activate Magical Citadel of Endymion, Servant has 1 counter. Then scale Magister of Endymion. Now Citadel has 2 counters, or Citadel has 1 counter while Servant has 2. Now you can remove the 1 counter from Citadel to activate Servant's effect, since Servant has 2. Just an example. Then I play 2 copies of Pot of Desires. Pot of Desires just lets you banish the top 10 cards of your deck face down, draw 2. The reason I play Desires in this deck is because of how you play multiples of everything important. So, the odds of you banishing all of something you need shouldn't happen. I say shouldn't because in one of my games I banished all my Vanity's Fiend. And you can only activate 1 Pot of Desires per turn. That's its only other downside. Then for another power card I play in this deck is 3 copies of Secret Village of the Spellcasters. This makes it so that while you have a spellcast and your opponent doesn't, they can't use spells. But if you don't control a spellcaster, you can't use spells, but your opponent can. This card was very useful because people were very rarely using spellcasters outside of Branded, and I can't remember if the one Kishira monster is a spellcaster. I didn't really face Kishira, it's just that was my first thought. But almost every game I was able to build my board and end it with a Secret Village, I won. And in one of my games against Brandon, I actually had 2 Jackal Kings, Vanity's Fiend, and my Secret Village, so my opponent couldn't use spells, I had 2 monster effect negations, and my opponent couldn't special summon. Yeah, they kind of went game 2 after they drew and realized they couldn't break my board. It was funny. And then next, I play 3 copies of Book of Eclipse, since I will hardly ever play a deck now that doesn't have some kind of go second card in the main, if it's going first. Or some kind of go first card in the main if it's a go second deck. Just because I like being prepared for when I lose the die roll. The Book of Eclipse just says... I dropped a card, my bad. Book of Eclipse has the effect of it flips all your opponent's monsters face down, and then at the end of the turn, change all face down defense monsters to face up defense, and then your opponent draws one card for every monster that's flipped face up by this card's effect. I believe in that text, you only activate one Book of Eclipse per turn. Oh no, you can activate multiple Book of Eclipse per turn. Okay. Neat. I will note that for future reference. And then to finish off the main deck, I play 3 copies of Spell Power Mastery. Spell Power Mastery lets you add an Endymion card from your deck, an Endymion card from your deck to your hand. And then you can place 1 spell counter on a face-up card you control that can hold spell counters, plus 1 for every copy of Spell Power Mastery and Spell Power Grasp that are in your graveyard. Spell Power Grasp literally just does the exact same thing as this minus the search. And it only adds for Spell Power Mastery. Or Spell Power Grasp, not Mastery. And you can only activate 1 Spell Power Mastery per turn. But that is it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck, which the extra deck still needs a bit of work, and I will get to those cards when I get to them. But starting off with the extra deck, I play 1 copy of IP Masquerena, 1 copy of Beyond the Pendulum, and 1 copy of Appaloosa Bow the Goddess. IP Masquerena has the effect of during your opponent's main phase, you can activate its effect to link off using, or link summon a monster, and then, or you link summon a monster as a quick effect when its effect resolves, and then a monster that was link summoned using this monster cannot be destroyed by card effects. And then Beyond the Pendulum has 2 effects. The first one is when it is link summoned. Yeah, if it's link summoned in the extra monster zone, you can pay 1,200 life points to add a pendulum monster from your deck from your deck to your hand. However, there is a restriction. Okay. However, if you do not pendulum summon immediately after using this effect, you cannot activate monster effects, nor you can't activate monster effects, and the effects of cards in your pendulum zones are negated. That doesn't usually matter though, because normally you're pendulum summoning almost immediately afterwards. And then its other effect is if you pendulum summon 2 monsters with 2 different levels to zones it points to, you can target 1 card in your opponent's field and destroy it. Let's see, making sure that's correct. Okay, my bad. You can target 2 cards on the field and destroy them. You can only use each effect of Beyond the Pendulum once per turn. And then Appaloosa Bow the Goddess gains 800 attack for each material used to make it. And then when your opponent activates a monster effect once per chain, you can have it lose 800 attack points to negate that effect. And then the other thing I would one of the changes I'd play is I'd play 1 copy of Nightmare Cerberus, 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix, and 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn. Each of the nightmares have an effect where on someone you can discard a card, target 1 other card of the field, and then do something, and then if it was co-linked, you draw 1 card. And then Cerberus can discard 1 card, target upon special summon effect monster or special summon monster in the main monster zone, destroy it, and then if it's monsters it's co-linked with and itself, when it is co-linked, cannot be destroyed by card effects. Nightmare Phoenix can discard a card, target 1 card on your opponent's spell and trap zone, destroy it, and if it's co-linked, draw a card. And when this card is co-linked, it and other monsters it points to cannot be destroyed by battle. And Nightmare Unicorn can discard a card, target 1 card your opponent's field, shuffle it back into the deck. And if it's co-linked, draw 1 card. And during your draw phase, if it is co-linked, you can draw 1 card in addition, or draw 1 card for your draw phase for each other co-linked monster. So if it's co-linked with 3, then you get to draw 3 cards instead of 1. And they also play 1 copy of Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avramax and 1 copy of Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avramax has the effect of when it battles an opponent's monster, it gains that monster's attack if it was special summoned from the extra deck, I believe. You can go ahead and read it because I genuinely don't remember. This link summon card on the field. And then while this link summon card is on the field, your opponent cannot target other cards, or you cannot target. Yeah. Or it cannot be targeted by card effects, and your opponent cannot target other monsters you control for attacks except this one. Ugh. I mean, this thing's effect wrong for a while. And then once per battle, during damage calculation, this card battles a monster special summoned. If it battles a special summoned monster, quick effect, you can make this card, you can make this card gain attack equal to that opponent's monster's attack during damage calculation only. And if this link summoned card you control is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card, you can shuffle 1 card on the field into the deck. Which mainly when this is made, it's with IP Masquerena, so it can't be destroyed card effects. So it has to be destroyed in battle. But if it's with a special summon monster, then they're going to lose the battle. And then it also makes it so that it can only attack this one, and it cannot be targeted. And then Underworld Goddess of the Closed World lets you link summon it using 1 monster your opponent controls. And it requires 4+ effect monsters. So you can use a link to IP Masquerena as 2 of them, 2 of your own monsters, and 1 of your opponents. And you can also make this using monsters that say like unaffected by other cards' effects. So this is one way of getting around monsters like that. But it has the effect of when it's link summoned, you can activate its effect to negate the effects of all face-up cards your opponent controls till the end of the turn. Or not until the end of the turn, it's a permanent negation. And then it's unaffected by card effects unless they specifically target it. And if your opponent activates a card or effect that was summoned from the graveyard, you can negate that effect. You can only use this effect of Underworld Goddess of the Closed World once per turn. And moving on to the extra deck, I play 1 copy of Perform Mage Trapeze Magician. Actually, no. And you can't go over the Xyz monsters yet. The other 2 things I would change is that I would also play 1 copy of... Oh, let's try to remember the name. Selene, Empress of Magic, I think it was. I think it was Selene, the Queen of Magic, or something like that. Where, when it's link summoned, it gets 3 spell counters. You can remove 1 spell counter, especially on a spellcaster from your graveyard to a zone it points to. And then I forget what the rest of its effect is, because normally you use it to link off for the other thing I would play, which is 1 copy of Access Code Talker, which has the effect of when it's link summoned, you can target 1 link monster as used for its link summoning to have it gain 1,000 attack times that monster's link rating. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this card's effect activation. And you can banish a link monster from your graveyard, target 1 card on your opponent's field, destroy it, and you can use... However, you use this effect, you cannot banish a link monster with that same attribute. So if you have a Dark, Earth, and Water engrave, you can banish those 3 to destroy 3 cards your opponent controls. But you cannot attempt to banish another Earth, Dark, or Water. I think those were the 3 attributes which I said. And then for the Xyz monsters, I play 1 copy of Perform Mage Trapeze Magician, 1 copy of Bahamut Shark, and 1 copy of Toad. Trapeze Magician has the effect of you can't take damage unless it's greater than this card's attack. So it has 2,500, so you can't, unless you're taking more than 2,500, you can't take damage. And then it has the quick effect during the battle phase, during the main phase quick effect, you can activate this card's effect. Detach material, target 1 monster on the field. It gains the ability to act twice during the battle phase. However, it is destroyed at the end of the battle phase. Which I really like using this card's effect, because if I use it with like Endymion, the Mighty Master of Magic, which cannot be destroyed by card effects while it's spell counter, Okay, never mind. I've been cheating with that. Whoops. Endymion cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. The more you know. So now I know that that doesn't work. So I'll be replacing Trapeze Magician with Abyss Dweller for Grave Negation. Anyway. Bahamut Shark is in this deck again because Endymion the Magistus... I don't remember what its name was. Endymion the Magistus of Mastery is a level 4 water, so you can use it to summon Toad, which is a generic negate. And then when Toad goes to the grave, you can just activate its effect, put itself back in the grave. Or back in the extra deck, not grave. Anyway, and for the last 2 spots, I play 1 copy of number 11 Big Eye, and 1 copy of number 89 Diablos, the Mind Hacker. Big Eye has the once per turn effect of you can detach material, target one monster your opponent controls, take control of it, however Big Eye cannot attack the same turn you use this effect. And then Diablos, the Mind Hacker, has the effect of you can detach one material from it to then locate your opponent's extra deck and banish a card from their extra deck face down. And then, if it destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, or if it destroys a monster by battle, at the end of the battle phase, you can banish 1 card from the opponent's graveyard face down. And when a card your opponent owns and controls was removed from play face down, you can then make your opponent banish top card or cards from the top of their deck equal to the number of face down banished cards. So if you use both its effects in the turn it's summoned and activate its effect after that, then you get to make them banish the top 2 cards of their deck. Next turn you use both effects again. Now you have to banish the top 6. The turn after that you use its effect after destroying a monster. Now they have to banish the top 13. The longest monster stays in play, the more cards it gets to get rid of. But that is it for my Endymion deck profile. If you have any ideas what I can do to improve the deck, any ideas decks like to see be made in the future, or decks like to see face each other, feel free to comment down below. Thanks for watching.